You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keithreza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
All right. Excellent. Victor Pachecho is logging on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey, Victor.
Log it on.
Log it on. Victor, for the folks at home, was giving me a heart attack like our recent guests of lately.
Oh, my God.
Victor's like, I'm gonna fuck with Keith too. I'm like, what? I'm like waiting here. I was like, a co-host should not give the host anxiety, Victor.
Okay, sorry. My 1,000 apologies. But at the same time, like Keith, if I totally want to be there, you should worry about my health. Because it's
Okay.
probably
I was worried about your health.
horrible.
That's why I was like, I was
Yeah,
like, oh
right.
my God.
Yeah, right. No, it's
Oh,
okay. No, it's okay. I'd be pissed too. I'd be like, dude, you said you're going to be there.
I'm not
Um,
pissed. I'm not pissed. I'm
no,
really not pissed.
I would be pissed and like or
Uh,
disappointed on
I
edge.
was just like, oh my God, because you and I had that little adventure the other day, who the guest was very apologetic. Oh, great. Our guest is here. Uh, should we let him in? Okay. We got
Best pre-show ever.
best pre-show ever. Okay. We will talk about this anxiety when the guest comes in, but I have an announcement. We are thrilled on Reza Riffs to share that Canadian comedian Ivandecker is releasing his latest comedy special on Valentine's Day, folks. So grab your popcorn and get ready to celebrate and laugh with popcorn. That's what it's called, Victor. Popcorn. It's debuting on February 14th on 800-Pound Gorilla Media Records. And he's waiting to come in the Zoom. Ivan Decker. Yeah. Ivan, how are you, buddy?
Hey, fellas.
Good to
I'm
see
great.
you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thanks for asking to be on. I was because like I'm a big fan of yours. I think you're one of the best comedians who's younger than me ever.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah, I only got 2 years ahead of you, so
Yeah.
it pays to be young. You know what I mean?
Well, what if I'm lying about my age though?
Well, then I would have more respect for you.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Too honest.
I always had this like weird theory. By the way, we gave you a sweet ass promo for popcorn.
Oh, thank you so much.
We're going to talk about it, but I had to tell you this theory since you brought it up. Okay.
Please.
Oh, by the way, this is Victor Pachecho. He's the trusty sidekick.
Hey, what's up, Ivan? Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So if your jokes aren't landing, just let Victor know and he'll laugh.
I'll just do a point.
Yeah, just a point.
VP, you feel me?
But
only if you do that old timey voice. Yeah.
Just a real old timey radio. Hey, Victor. This guy knows.
Yeah. So I always had this theory that like, have you ever seen Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I always had this theory that in the movie Macaulay Culkin's like 8 or 6, right? He's in those 8, right?
Yeah.
And he's very smart for a kid. You know what I mean? Because he beats up Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. And I always had this theory. What if he was just like an old kid, but he had that like young syndrome? You know what I mean? Like from Benjamin Bratt or something. Because you know what I mean? Because there's no way he could beat these two robbers who have like steals and stuff. Like it just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's crafty. He's really got he's wise beyond his years. I think you're onto something. I think that's a good fan theory.
Yeah. So I think maybe you might have that disease if you're older than me.
Well, not that I know of, but we'll get checked.
Yeah, not trying to diagnose you with anything serious, but I'm just saying it's possible.
Yeah, no, I should go. I've been trying to age myself, you know. I'm trying to look like I think I was thinking about I should start smoking cigars. So like people
Oh
around me
yeah.
take me more seriously. So they
Yeah.
don't think, because I remember when I started doing stand-up, I started when I was 19, and it was
Right.
just like a very, like, I didn't realize it at the time, but then looking back, I was like, yeah, nobody wants to listen to a 19-year-old do
Yeah.
stand-up comedy. Imagine going out, paying money, and then this kid walks up and he's like, here's what I think about oranges. And you're like, I don't care about this. So I feel like the older I've gotten, the more like, you know, when you start having people your own age and younger in the audience, it's a little bit better. I feel like there's a built-in, although, you know, they get too young, then you run into that issue again.
Yeah.
Shut up, old man. No one wants to hear about you.
I was just curious about, like, after shows, did you actually smoke cigars? Like, that was what I was like really impressed with. Like, holy Lord,
Oh,
I
yeah,
haven't seen a cigar in like 20 years.
yeah, well, there's nowhere to do it. Like, you know, if I was allowed to smoke a cigar in the green room, like a gentleman, I would do it. But like, I gotta smoke a cigar. I gotta go stand by the dumpster, and then, like the cook comes out with the chicken wing garbage, and he's like, hey, good set.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, thanks. I'm just trying to really bask in the atmosphere out here in the alley.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you do a show like one of those, like, I don't know, like Joey Diaz type guys, you know, the guy who you would think smokes a cigar. You'd be like, oh my God, we're going to get arrested because he's going to smoke a Cuban cigar. And then you find out he's doing cocaine. And you're like, wait a second, which one are we getting arrested for?
Yeah. You're like, which one's worse to be indoors? I feel like cigars more
Cigars.
noticeable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I don't
could
think there's
stick
any
somebody up.
secondhand cocaine. That's not, they don't like to share. So
Yeah.
it's pretty rare.
Yeah. So let's talk about popcorn for a second. And it's coming out this Valentine's Day.
Yes, yeah. The
Right?
pre-release on the 800-Pound Gorilla website will be on February 13th. So that'll be it's just like a pay what you can structure if you want to see it early.
Ah.
And then after a month of that, on March 19th, it'll go up for free on YouTube for everybody to see.
Oh, nice. So when you say pay what you can, so like for struggling comics like me and Victor, we could like just Venmo you a cent or something.
Yeah. Sure. Send me send me a link to yours. We'll just do a trade. I'll trade you for your special.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But so 800-pound gorilla. So what made you go that route instead of the 600-pound gorilla? Like, why'd you go with the bigger one?
I had to. I'm really trying to get my reps in. You know,
Yeah.
try to be a stronger man. No, they're great. They have kind of everybody. It's kind of interesting. It's cool to be part of such a large kind of media center. Like they've done really great things, I think, for a lot of comics over the past couple of years, and especially during the pandemic, they kind of had this central platform, and they talked to all kinds of people. One of my favorite moments when we were in the initial negotiations for the special was we had a Zoom meeting, and I got on, and then they joined a little bit after me, and they were like, hey, sorry we're late. We were just explaining TikTok to Bob Newhart. I was like, did he love it? And they were like, he did not.
You should have said, well, I think Bob Newhart has that old person's disease because I think he's actually like 3.
Yeah.
You know, he's just
yeah, he's got a very young demeanor, that guy.
Yeah.
Keeps it fresh.
Oh man, I love Bob Newhart, man. Like,
he's one of the greatest.
Wouldn't it be like, because he's actually very old for the folks at home now, but like when you like, I would always be like, I don't know, man. Like if I saw him this old, like because he's so old, I don't know if I would be able to talk to him. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if he would. So I think that would fanboy me down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's still pretty sharp. I mean, I haven't heard anything he's done super recently, but I think about 5 years ago he was on Conan's podcast, and that's a great listen because he's still so sharp, and he's like Rickles style roasting Conan for pretty much the entire episode, and it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Do you-
I think he was like, in his late 80s at that point, still sharp. I
Yeah.
hope I'm that good.
Oh
when I'm
yeah.
that old,
I hope I'm way more successful when I'm that old,
I hope so too. I hope we all are.
Yeah.
A rising tide lifts all boats, Keith.
Oh no, definitely. I once did stand up in front of Dick Van Dyke. You know who that guy is?
Yeah.
Yeah, and for a guy whose name is Dick, he was the biggest sweetheart in the world.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, so I went up to him after the show, right? And this is like an old moment. I was like, "Oh, hey, Dick Van Dyke, I'm Keith," and he's just like nodding. I was like, "Would you like to do my podcast?" I don't know, something stupid. And he's like, "I'm 90, dude." I was like,
That is a great answer. That's the nice thing about being that old. You can just like, hey, I'm 90.
"Dude" was the best part, though.
He said, dude. That's incredible. I'm 90, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know anything you just said.
Yeah. And then like years later, I see him in Mary Poppins 2 because I'm on acid and he's like jumping around and stuff. I was like, oh.
You're like, oh man, I wish he'd done my podcast.
Like, he said no to Raise a Risk, but he said yes to Mary Poppins 2. I don't know.
Mary
But,
Poppins 2. I didn't even know they made a sequel. I feel like there's a great untapped resource in like seeking out all of those classic movie sequels.
Yeah.
They just like didn't want to make a sequel themselves, so they sold off the title. Like I think I watched Starship Troopers 2.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it was like one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They
It made you want to think, bring back Starship Trooper 1.
Yeah, exactly. Like they
Yeah.
had clearly just taken footage from the first movie and like put a filter over it to be like it's a different planet because it's night. And it's like, no, it isn't. This is the same shot. You bought 1 3-minute shot from Starship Troopers 1 of the aliens like running at you, and then the rest was like, yeah, like a bad teen romp. I mean, there were boobs.
Yeah,
in it.
yeah.
That's
I
nice,
don't. Starship Troopers was one of those movies, and again, this is another thing that has nothing to do with you, but it's one of those movies where like because I saw it when I was like 9 or 10, it was like my first porno movie that I saw because I don't know if you noticed, but there's like 10 sex scenes.
Yeah,
that's
right.
And you're a little boy, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna kill some bugs. Whoa, titties.
Yeah, that's
and
way better.
Yeah.
I don't even like guns anymore. Yeah, I got taken to that movie by my divorced dad, who I think, I was a little too young, but he was like, whatever, we'll do this afternoon. I even I have a younger brother who's 5 years younger than me. I think he was like 6.
Yeah.
When we went and like I'm pretty sure he got nightmares from the bugs, but I was like, I saw boobs. I don't care about any of this.
Oh my god.
It's Richards, baby.
Yeah, I saw that right after I got done with breastfeeding, and I remember I saw it with my dad. I was like, Dad, those are way better than mom's. I don't know.
Oh boy.
Oh man. So when did you film Popcorn, and like was this something you filmed during the pandemic or right after, or because
I kind of got it set up. We were having a lot of trouble finding a venue. So the plan was to record it kind of right after once things started opening up again, and I did a real sort of search for venues, and I was going to kind of do it at just one of the clubs I was at on the road, and then I decided to film it in the town of Victoria, British Columbia, because I have gone there in the past, and the crowds there have traditionally been great, and the club that I filmed at was one of my favorite clubs when I was starting out. And I realized that throughout the pandemic I had not been back there, so I had kind of like an untapped audience base. So I was like, out of all the places, I shouldn't have trouble filling this one.
Yeah.
And so I picked a spot where I knew I would be able to sell out. I made the tickets like pretty cheap because I just wanted to make sure that people came and there were people in the crowd.
So 1 cent tickets?
Yeah, close. I think they were like $10 or something.
Oh, nice. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we got lucky. We sold it out and did 2 shows back to back, and recorded it. I recorded it last end of May, early June of last year, and so then we've just been in post production. I did a lot of like grinding before that. Just kind of went on the road and headlined as much as I could everywhere.
Yeah.
Try to make sure the set works, all across North America, which is something I'm very blessed to get to do. Like I love getting to headline from like Texas all the way up to like Vermont and just have these completely different perspectives of crowds and make sure the material works in front of anybody that I could find. And and so that was a really good sort of prep. And so I felt pretty ready. And then we recorded about 50 minutes. I think we cut it down to 38. And yeah, it's really I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all that matters, man, because like so I filmed my first special. I think it's the best thing I've ever done. And then I filmed my second special and I liked the humor better in the second special, but when I filmed it, I got heckled the whole time. So I have to refilm it.
Yeah.
But it really bummed me out because I was like, oh, this special is going to be better than my first special. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's always tough too, because you spend so much of your time on your first special, because this is kind of my third, I guess, that I've done. And so you have all of this material that you've worked for your entire, like your first album, your first special, that's like 10 years you have to get ready for that.
Yeah.
And then the next one, they're like, do it again, but in 2 years.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
They always want more from you. And you're like, ah.
Content is king.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of trying to match that level of production, but I have a joke brain. So I really want to like make sure that the versions of the jokes that I'm telling are the best they could be. And so I want the opportunity. It takes a little bit longer to try all the different angles of the material and make sure that and of course, as soon as you record it, if you keep doing that material, you improve it and you're like, I should have taped it.
But that's why you could do it on the 4th or 5th one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you confuse the audience, especially your hardcore fans. Like you could do all your stuff on your first album and then like on your 5th one do the exact same album and like really like mind fuck them.
But just with new tags. Just
this
is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's nice too to have that, because if people haven't seen the earlier stuff, when they come and see me live, I can kind of do older stuff. So my material, I try to make it pretty evergreen. I mean, getting a little bit more personal these days, so it might change.
Well, I'm not saying take that advice. I'm just saying that's something you could do, because the worst comic of all time, Barry Sobel, does that. And man, I always buy his album every single year. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I gotta check him out.
Oh, dude, he is so bad. Right when you see it, you're gonna turn it off.
That's good. It's hard to be.
Saves you time, baby. That's how bad he is.
Yeah, there's a lot of people trying to land in the middle. It's nice to have somebody that's like, I'm the absolute bottom, and that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah. See, Victor, this like Ivan's been doing comedy since he was 19, and he looks like he's 12, and he already has 3 specials. So you gotta take notes. You gotta be like, all right,
I know. I'm really impressed with the fact that Ivan is also 6 months younger than me, and I look like when he was in high school, I could have been the janitor there at the same time. And so, it's just like, hey, what's up, kid? You want to buy some weed? It's like, no, get away from me.
Well, I got that touch up my appearance slider on Zoom all the way to the right.
I could tell the filter. I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, I've been aged because I have a toddler now, so it's
oh, you do?
Been a real last, I had my kid in September of last year, and so he was about 6 months old when I filmed the special.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And so that's sort of something I'm learning to deal with now, is like being heavily sleep deprived, and it's a little bit different, and just having time to write and what to talk about now too, because it's like, when you have a kid, it's all consuming.
Yeah,
I'm
sure the humor goes into a different direction than what you're used to too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, it's occupying a lot of my brain. And so I think about those kinds of things. But it's like at the same time, you don't want to fall into that trap of being like the dad comedian
Yeah.
who talks about his kids, and then you lose such a large percentage of the comedy world. So I
Yeah.
tried to make sure I have a good mix in the special Popcorn. I have a little bit of stuff about parenting, but it's mostly, my old classic food-based material and weird observations, hyper
Yeah.
focusing on tiny little things.
So I wanted to ask you a question, but I also wanted to share something. Like the good thing about children, and my mom told me this when I was 15 years old. I'll never forget it. She said, I could still get rid of you.
Yeah, it's true. Anytime. You can, yeah, someone will take them.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you, when you made popcorn, like, did you think that your mindset, because I think I Want to Be a Dinosaur is probably one of the best comic albums ever. And I want to
Oh,
know
thank you so much.
I want to know did you like try to prove be like, I want to get it to that standard, or like
Yeah.
how okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what I always think. I always think that it needs to have something a little bit better than the previous album or special and move it up a little bit. And so, I mean, I Wanted to Be a Dinosaur had this kind of narrative structure in it that I tried to apply to this one too.
Yeah.
Because I always think that whenever I start building a new hour, building a new act, it obviously just starts as like a list of jokes. And there's different styles with it too. I think a lot of comedians, specifically comedians who do a lot of like the fringe circuit, the European comics, like they're always so interesting to watch for me because they have the format of, and I'm not sure if they all do this, but some of them, it seems like they have a narrative thread first. They decide like, this is the story I want to tell. It's going to start out here. It's going to end up here. And then they add jokes throughout, but they make sure that it's a good story first.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I'm from the camp where we come up with 45 minutes of material and then attempt to link it all into a thread as best we can. And it's kind of interesting where I'm at this blank restart point and I have to make that choice of like, do I want to try to find a story first and write material towards that? Or should I just let it happen the way it normally does and develop this material? And so when I did Popcorn, it was originally sort of like the story of the pandemic and me getting married and that kind of thing, the transitioning into quote unquote adult life. And so I did remove a bunch of the pandemic stuff because I was like, it's kind of been too long. I don't want people to like, some of the observations I made are sort of older now. Like originally I had a joke on it about the arrows on the floor at the grocery store and how like nobody did it. That was like the one rule where like it didn't matter which end of the COVID
cycle you're on.
Yeah. Everybody unanimously was like, yeah, well, I mean, no one's doing the arrows. Obviously, that's stupid. We're not doing that.
Yeah. I remember the arrows. I always thought because man, like so they're like you gotta put it in hindsight too. Like there's this virus going around killing everybody, right?
Yeah.
You have time to tape arrows. It made no sense to me. I don't know.
And then they're like, that's the funny thing is like they're still there. A lot of the stickers and stuff.
Oh yeah, because
like,
they're too lazy to. Yeah.
You go to Target now and they still have the little circles. They're like 6 feet apart, and I'm like, no, never. Get those off of there. Not doing that now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of scaled back a little bit of that, but it still has that structure, that narrative of like, getting married and having a kid, that kind of thing. And then, of course, within that, there is a pretty sizable piece of material about how much I love popcorn.
Well, so like comedy, like I like it because like when you headline, it's like seducing a lady or something. You know what I mean? Like first you got to ask her out, so you got to start with the good jokes. You got to impress the audience, and then you got to waste your time to get the clothes off. So you got to get a little dark, but let them know you're still a good guy, right? And then you got to shove it up the ass. You know what I mean? And that is
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'd say that's pretty accurate for me.
Exactly.
That's always my closer. My closer to the audience, I'm like, look, you might not enjoy this, but I'm gonna like it. So shut your eyes. You're doing me a favor. I've been nice all night. This one's for me. That's what I say.
Oh man, all three of us, we should go on tour. I think it would be great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we could call it the Shout Up the Ass tour.
That's right. You know what's coming by the third one of us that's up on stage. Then they're excited about it. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you because like I tried to listen to another interview you did, so I don't ask you the same questions.
Oh, that's very nice
Yeah.
of you.
And the thing is like I think a musician was interviewing you because every question he would ask you, he would turn it around like, so when I write a country song, you know what I mean? And and you're trying to talk about jokes, and you're like, yeah, jokes are like country songs. I don't know. I just thought it was so funny because like I don't know if you remember this interview, but I remember every answer you were just like trying to be like, yeah,
Yeah, I
this
mean
is just like music.
there are some similarities for sure, but yeah, I mean it's definitely two different art forms. But it is that thing of like I like talking to other artists about their processes and their like even authors, people who write. But like it's weird to me too to talk to people who write, even just writing humor, like for books or for the internet or whatever. Like what is written down funny may not be as funny when you say it. And so like I
Yeah.
had a conversation with a friend of mine just about like the difference in the way that like I'm always I'm weird with jokes. Like I'm like a foodie. Like I think certain jokes have a certain mouth feel, and
Right.
the way that they come out, you have to have the right syllables, the right consonants. Like, but logically, in writing, it may be funnier if it's written a certain way. If you're not actually hearing it spoken, you can get to a different point in your laughter when you're reading it. But I think like the example that he gave me or that we were talking about was I have a joke in my act about during the lockdown, the difference between when my wife and I were first started dating, we were in a long distance relationship, and then the lockdowns happened, and that's when I realized the only thing harder than a long distance relationship is a close distance relationship.
Yeah.
And I said close distance relationship, and he said you should say no distance relationship.
Yeah.
And I was like, no distance relationship is also funny, but the word close has that hard consonant sound at the beginning that I think makes it just a little bit funnier. I don't know if you feel the same way.
No, I agree with the comic because there's nothing worse with someone who doesn't do comedy who tries and writes your material for you, and
Yeah.
they think they're helping, but really they're making themselves look stupid in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there is an interesting thing with stand up where everybody thinks that it's such a like low art form that they're like, "Oh, I could just do it if I wanted to, but I
Yeah.
don't." I've emceed a wedding. I did great.
It's so funny you say this because Victor and I were just talking about this the other day where like I have this theory that no matter how good of a comic anyone is, they'll never be able to give 100% performance. I think the best they could do is maybe 95 or 96 because of certain words, like when you're telling a joke or even when we're talking just like this. Like I could say something, but maybe I stutter something and it doesn't come out right, and I feel this is a great interview, but it's not a perfect interview because no one could ever be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's unless it's over rehearsed, but even then,
Yeah.
like if you really practice every word,
You're still going to fuck it up somehow.
or you're just going to diminish the performance because now you're too focused on saying all the words correctly instead of being honest and being in the room and being charismatic. Yeah, I definitely think that there's always that factor. There's always some kind of thing you're going to stumble on, something you're going to forget. And that's why I think when you tape a special, that's why it's so good to do multiple takes so then you can edit them together, you can find, and hopefully within, if you have 80%, hopefully the 20% line up somewhere else and you don't screw it up 3 times in a row in the same spot so that you can edit in and try to build a 100% special out of those 3 takes. That's why late night is so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because you only get one shot, you know, when you do late night or when you do a just for laughs taping, like any of those, it's just so stressful because it's like, this is it. This is your one, you've got this 1 5-minute set. And I mean, the just for laughs tapings are great because they'll record extra. So like you'll usually do 8 or 7 minutes and then they'll cut it down to 5. So if there are any screw-ups, they'll take them out. But yeah, late night, it's like, it's all hanging out there. So that's why it's like, you have to be so perfect and so rehearsed, but then at the same time trying to stay like loose, and it's just like this crazy conflict of every single cylinder firing and trying to focus on everything. I remember when I did Conan, I felt like the set was like 2 minutes long. Like I was convinced I forgot some material because you're so focused on every single, even if you're in the moment killing with the joke that you're currently telling in your brain, you're like, okay, what is next? What is the next line? How long do I pause? I go here, then I go here, then this. It's like with Olympic bobsledders, when they did studies, they realized that like they don't blink for the entire track.
Interview. Yeah.
Like it's like a minute and 45 seconds from top to bottom, but every turn they're like turn 1, turn 2, turn 3.
Yeah. No, I get that. Do you think though that maybe the and I know Victor has a question for you, but I just want to make this point real fast. Do you think that maybe when you did Conan, your mindset was okay, maybe it wasn't about the stand up, it was about helping your career, and maybe that's why you thought it took longer?
Yeah, maybe. I think everything is in your mind. So it's
Right,
like you're just
yeah.
constantly being bombarded by any thought is there. And so you
Yeah.
have to try to like build a shield and just when those curtains open,
Yeah.
walk out and pretend you're a normal person and this isn't the most insane thing that's ever happened to you.
Yeah, I've never done Conan, but it's always been my dream to do a late night set. But then like I got very lucky because I toured with Norm Macdonald for 9 years, and he was
Oh, amazing.
he was my comic hero, and I thought that's more important to me than late night. And then it turns out now, I lost Norm and late night because there's no late night show. So I feel like I got, in a way, kind of fucked. I don't know.
That's tough.
You
But
know
there'll
what
be
I mean?
something else.
Yeah. I'm really hoping for the podcast stand up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where you do a podcast and you're like, all right, do your 5 minutes on a podcast. You're like,
Yeah, I think that'll happen.
yeah. Victor, you got a question, buddy?
Oh yeah, I have a question. So when you're having all these like cylinders going off at the same time, like for late night taping or just for laughs taping, what do you do to like keep your composure?
Yeah, I think in there, like I did a little bit of like breathing exercise training and like try to do that. Try to
Yeah.
focus. I think that for me, it's so hard too because like everybody's brain is different. But for me, I think what helps is doing like what I said, where I just remove everything and focus solely on the jokes and like
Yeah.
this is the next. Like you're just looking at you're watching for the next joke or the next corner if you're a bobsled racer. And so looking for that when the laugh is happening, you're like, okay, this is good. I'm in here. And then you just like go, because the other thing is the time has to be perfect. You can't go long on late night. You have to hit your 4 minutes and 30 seconds exactly. And so I was
Yeah.
like, I'm there and they hold up a thing like they're holding up, like, you've got 30 seconds left. And you're like, all right. Trying not to rush your last bit.
They're
And
like,
so
we got to bring on John Cusack to ask him about whatever.
yeah. So I think to answer your question, Victor, it's like I just try to pull focus in and try to focus on pick one thing that you can you're in control of, which is your material, and try to just have that be the thing that you're focusing on and letting it guide you. But yeah, I mean, looking natural on TV as a stand-up, it takes years. It takes so many, and I've been very lucky that I've gotten the chance to do a little bit of TV. And so it's like I'm finally reaching a point now where I'm like, I think I look more comfortable. Like I did a taping a couple years ago, and I was like, I definitely look. If you compare this one to like my earlier tapings, it's like I was a little bit more relaxed. I could tell I was laughing. I was having a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, my Netflix, I didn't move my arm for like a long time. Like my non-microphone arm, when I watch it, it's just hanging there so weirdly for like the first 10 minutes of the special. And so I was like, oh, I'm very aware of this. And so I think for popcorn, I was like, all right, move your goddamn hand more, you idiot. I think I was focusing on that more than anything else.
Oh my god. But so that what you just said is a perfect example why I never take the mic out of the stand.
That's
Because
smart. Yeah.
you know, everyone says, like, I remember when I first started comedy, everyone was like, oh, you gotta take the mic out of the stand. And there's no rules in comedy, in
No.
my opinion, except be funny.
Yeah.
So I feel that that's like, even if I did do Conan or whatever, I don't think I would ever take a mic out of the stand. I would ask for a mic stand.
Yeah.
You
And they
know?
like that because then they can just put one camera on you and leave it. You don't
Yeah.
have to, if you move around too much, they're like, I gotta, Yeah, I think having it in the stand, I'm just like, I don't know, I like to walk around a little bit. I think that's the problem. But I also messed up when I first started doing stand-up because I chose my dominant hand to hold the microphone, which I think
Oh,
is
did
wrong.
you? Oh my god. Yeah.
Like you're supposed to hold the mic and like I'm right-handed, I should be holding the mic in my left hand.
Yeah.
And I'm not. And I think that's why it's so weird feeling for me. Because like I don't really use my non-dominant hand. So that's why it just hangs there. So I've tried several times to be like, all right, this is tonight I'm doing all left hand mic. And then as soon as I start going into a bit that has like a physical component to it, I'm like, I can't do it. I got to switch back. So it's, I really need to like buckle down.
Yeah.
And like switch to left hand. My next special, I promise, left hand microphone.
That's what you should call left hand mic.
Yeah.
When you first started comedy or any type of theater arts thing, did you ever hear this expression? Oh, imagine everyone in the audience being naked or something to help you relax or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't that like the worst
it's
advice
weird.
ever? Oh my
Yeah, because
god.
then I just get turned on.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was like I remember I used that like the first time I did comedy. I was like, oh my god, all these people have big cocks. I don't know, like.
Yeah, I've heard a similar version of that for like if you're at a urinal and like the person next to you is like making it so you can't pee.
Oh yeah,
You're
I have that problem
imagine,
sometimes. Yeah.
You're supposed to imagine that you're just peeing on them.
Oh really?
Fuck
oh,
you fucking loser! I'll pee on you. And then they apparently that's supposed to help. I have not tried it.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. You just made that up.
No, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard
just
of
kidding.
it.
I've never heard of that though. I've never heard of that. That's so funny.
Well,
and I swear to God, it feels like everyone's checking out your dick when you're taking a piss at a ball game.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh my god.
Everyone's curious. You're like, yeah, do fat guys have small cocks? Like, oh, he must be Samoan. It's like, fuck you. How about that?
I feel bad for the kids. I remember being a kid going to a ball game. You
take off all your clothes, right?
Right
Your
eye height though. It's horrible.
Yeah, your eye level. It's horrible.
It's a nightmare. Like I thank God they added the little. There was a ballpark near where I grew up where they had a fountain. It was like a circular urinal.
Oh no!
That everybody peed it. So there'd be a guy across from you pee, and you're gonna look at him like, hey, I guess what we're all doing.
I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like, because I seriously do have that problem sometimes if the bathroom's sold out and like they don't have the stalls. So there's, and I really have to go, but I'm not going. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, you could either do two things. You could either fake, like you would be like, all right, but I liked.
The fake I peed. That's a real big move as a man when you're like, yeah, no, I did it. Oh boy, I feel great now, even though you feel worse.
Yeah.
Like I'm still holding it.
But so like here's what I like to do just to turn the tables. Like it's a sold out bathroom, right? And for some reason I just can't go, even though I have to go. I just say really loud, I could do this.
Yeah. Then everybody else feels weird, right?
Yeah,
Get it on them. I go, come on, big boy.
Well, in my case, it's small boy, but you know, like
It's you and me, pal. We're in this together.
uh,
I
so
like to do that when there's just me and one other guy in there. Are we doing this or what?
Oh man. So I got two more questions for you. This question, do you remember the worst set of your life and
Oh,
how
absolutely.
and like why does it stick in your brain?
The worst set of my life undoubtedly was a corporate gig.
Oh yeah.
Oh
That I
no.
got hired for in northern Saskatchewan. And I had to drive. The town itself did not even have a hotel, so I had to stay in Saskatoon, which is a larger city.
Uh-huh.
And so I had to fly into Saskatoon and stay there. But the day of the gig, it was like a 3-hour drive through the driving snow. Like it was like horrible winter conditions. And so I left early. Like I was like, I don't know how long it's going to take me to get there. I've never been there before. So I was like, I'll leave. I'll give myself like 4 hours in case I need to stop or something happens. I don't want to miss this gig. And so I drove up there, and then I'm there way early. So then it's weird because there's no green room. It's just like in this little like town hall type thing. And so then I'm just standing by the coats for like 2 hours while everybody's like walking by, like, who are you? And I'm like, hi. And they're like, do you want any food? And I was like nervous. I was like, I don't want to eat. So I'm just like this weird guy standing by the bathroom for 2 hours. Then they introduced me. And I'm wearing a suit, which was a big mistake because I feel like the town is small, and like the last time they saw a guy in a suit come to town, he closed the mill, and they're all mad at him. And so I think like it was a bad vibe, like everything. I made a lot of incorrect decisions. So it's like I've obviously analyzed it a lot because it was such a terrible set. It was also like I made all the mistakes. Like I came in hot. I didn't match the energy of the room.
Right.
They like didn't like it didn't land. The first joke didn't land. So then I tried to like get them going a little bit. And it was a weird thing because like most of the time you bomb at a corporate, that it's because everybody just starts talking. They're like, okay, this is stupid. We're just going to talk at our table.
Yeah.
But the venue was so small that I don't think they wanted to do that. So instead, they all just chose to like fold their hands and look down at the table and just like wait. Like they all just like stonewall, just like, we're just gonna look at the ground till this guy's done. And so there was no like engagement. It was like the table, it was like long table, so they're all sitting sideways to me. So I couldn't even like get in anybody's face because they all were just like, we're just not gonna look at him. Let's just not look at him. And then I did like my full 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And I tried to like poke fun and acknowledge that like this is not going well. And then that didn't work. And like it was just nothing. Completely bombed. And then I walked like just out the door. Like I walked off stage and just went to my car and then drove away. Like I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't say thank you to the organizer or anything. And then they told the company that hired me, they were like, this guy was really bad. We don't want. And so then they were like, okay, you don't have to pay him, just cover his flight. And then I didn't even get paid. I was so
my
mad.
God.
Yeah.
That's the worst when they say you don't have to. I would say you have to either way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I still have not forgiven that booking agency for.
Yeah. I have a very similar story like that. I did a corporate and I was just bombing like really bad. But like when I bomb, Victor can vouch for this. When I bomb with confidence.
That's great.
So like, you know, I just keep it up, right? And I'm bombing so hard. I remember this one guy at a corporate show, he said, he like yelled it out. He's like, I fucking quit.
Wait, he yelled that at you like he
Yeah,
was in the crowd?
yeah.
He quit the
So
company?
he quit the company. That's what
Man,
I
that's
do.
great.
Even I
Yeah.
bomb get yeah. I go to a corporate show to get people to quit their jobs.
That's
What I
perfect. That should be a service you charge more for. You're like,
I
hey, is
know.
there somebody at your company you want him to quit? I'll make it happen.
I'll nail this mofo. And then when I run out of material, I'm gonna play a clip from Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers 2.
I think Keith
Just
left
the
out
boob scenes. Sorry.
the most important parts of Star Trek,
Yeah, exactly.
Starship Troopers. Oh no, but Keith left out a very important detail when he hate fucks the audience. If he's scheduled to do 45 minutes, he does 75 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's not that he doesn't have that 30, it's just more like, oh, here, we're gonna definitely shovel this all in. And
Yeah.
hey, you know this one thing that you hated me about? Well, I'm gonna triple down on this one and say it, do 3. Oh my god, it's incredible. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
we
That's
gotta
great.
go. It's
Get
like,
in
no,
there.
no. It's like, oh yeah, two more jokes. Two
Yeah.
more jokes. And there's never two more jokes. It's
This will get him.
Yeah.
I like when you go to like a show, like an open mic or something, or like even a book show where like the crowd's not good for whatever reason. It
Right.
happens. It happens.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
out there in
Sometimes
Radio
it
Land,
is their fault. Yeah.
sometimes the crowd is bad and like no one's doing well. But it's so funny to watch, like especially if it's like an impossible situation where like the tables are really spread out, they're not paying attention, whatever.
Yeah.
And like comics are going up one after the other, bombing and bombing and bombing. But everybody that's like up next, it's so fun to watch them get ready, being like, I'll get him. I can do it. And then like you watch, as soon as they get on stage, they come in like they're doing their like showcase 5 best material. And then you just watch it get nothing. And then they eventually just start to scale back into like, okay, I guess I was wrong. I can't get him. And then it's like the fun part of watching, like, they just want to get out of there, but they need a laugh. So then they're like just reaching for any kind of noise so they don't have to walk off to complete silence.
Yeah. I have a story about that. The worst comic of all time, Barry Sobel, once did that to me. He said, "Hey, I could get these guys like that." Went up, he bombed so bad, and he was like, "Follow that." And I was like, I can follow that without talking. You know what I mean?
I do like when someone bombs so hard that like you can just go on stage and like shrug, and the audience is like, ah!
I just went up and said, "I could do this."
Yeah. I can do this.
So where can the folks at home follow and support you at?
Oh, I'm on Instagram at Ivan W. Decker. That is sort of where I post clips on there and stuff like that. I'm also on TikTok. I believe it's the same. I think TikTok is at Ivan Decker. I should know this, but I'm still on Twitter, kinda, but not really. It's become a wretched hive of scum and villainy, more than it used to.
Yeah.
And but through my website, and then also just look for that special. Oh, Facebook as well. I have a fan page on there, Ivan Decker, and my website, ivandecker.com. I post links to upcoming shows, and all of that can be found through any of those socials. And then, of course, when the special drops, there'll be links and all kinds of stuff. So I would appreciate anybody who wants to follow me, and I'll tell you all about where I'm going to be.
Now, before I let you go, I just want you to know, has anyone ever told you your name is like a good name for a burger or something? You know what I mean?
The Decker Burger?
The Decker Burger. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping at some point my career goes well enough that I get like a burger named after me, or like a sandwich somewhere.
Yeah. Ivan, thank you so much for doing that, man. I mean, I'm actually dead serious. You are one of my favorite comics who's younger than me, and it was just so much fun to talk to you, man. And
yeah, absolutely. That's so kind. Thanks for having me on.
I feel like we're actual friends now, so I feel good.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, buddy. Well, you let me know when you want me to open up for you. I'll do a tight 45 or 75, whatever.
Hell yeah. That's when I need a 75er at a corporate. You'll be the first guy I call.
All right. Have a good day, Ivan.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
All right,
Good
guys. That was the interview with the great Ivan Decker, guys. And he left. All right, and you guys can.
I always feel like you're about to talk shit about the guests. Everybody's like, "And they left." And you look at me like, "What are you gonna say?" Like, he was cool. He was great.
It was
really
great.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ivan Decker, guys. I gotta re-announce his special ad. Just so the folks at home know this. We were thrilled to share Reza Riffs with Canadian comedian Ivan Decker, who is releasing his latest comedy special on Valentine's Day. So, Victor, grab your popcorn and get ready to celebrate and laugh with Popcorn, debuting Valentine's Day on 800-pound Gorilla. Support it. Throw Ivan Decker what you can. All right. That's where. Guys, thank you guys so much. If you guys like this episode, subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see you guys next week on Reza Riffs.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with keithreza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.